This is Monty. He's my business partner, if you will. Okay, so today I want to talk about commodification. Now, what is a commodity? Let's define terms. So you've probably heard it on the internet before. I did not invent this. This is a great concept popularized probably most prolifically by Seth Godin, which essentially if you're a commodity, you are competing on price. Then it is a race to the bottom. You will commodify into irrelevance. And today with the Amazons of the world, the behemoth companies of the world, if you try and compete on better, faster, cheaper, you just won't be able to keep up because the supply chain and the purchasing power and scales of economics are just too big that you won't be able to position yourself in the market to keep up. So what branding does is let's say it's let's say coffee. It's a very easy commodity. What branding does is essentially makes an association with a story that has to deliver, I'd say, either status, a virtue, or competence. And then there is underpinning that it's useful. It's a tool, so there's utility involved, and it is positioned in the market that it allows you to charge a premium. Now, it's a very waffly version, but I do think it's important to talk about. You can't just tell a story, put a visual brand property on something, and then just call it premium. You can, but at some point, if it's built like shit, then people will buy the product once and then be like, oh, he's just slapped on a typeface that's been tracked really wide, and it's a scam. So at the root base idea, there has to be something that is of utility and that is of quality. For instance, though, when you get to a level, if you buy coffee anywhere, and maybe in London I'm a bit spoiled, but like generally everywhere, unless it's like a greasy spoon calf, the coffee is pretty good, or at least for my naive tongue, I can't really tell the difference. And I have flat white, so what are we doing here? But where that is positioned in the market, it's usually the utility aspect is that you probably want to hang out in the coffee shop. You probably want to go in there. Maybe your friends are there. Maybe you fancy the staff that work there. Maybe it's close to your work. All of that idea. The idea of having the coffee cup, as Seth Godin says, to kind of use his analogy again, people don't go to Starbucks for the coffee. They go to walk into the office with the cup, I believe is roughly the quote. Meaning that they want to know that they've been somewhere and they've got enough expendable income, which is a status play, to be able to buy said coffee with this logo on, because everybody knows that coffee was $5 or whatever. So let's say you've got a status play, the virtue play version of that. So the story you would tell is, let's say, give one, buy one, give one. So that model where, say, Tom's shoes, remember them a million years ago? If you buy a pair of Toms, they would give a pair of Toms to a child in a developing country. Now, that is a good model, very much a B Corp model, very much a charitable model. And that would mean that the virtue play on that story that would allow them to position themselves in the market at a premium was that they were making people feel good about themselves. Giving to charity makes people feel good, and you can leverage that for stories. You can also do some good in the world. It's business. There's nothing wrong with telling stories that help people. If you're telling stories that are total bullshit and don't help anybody or are actually damaging, then you will get found out, especially at the localism level which most small businesses operate at. Like for instance, if your business model, I've said this before, I've written about this quite a few times, but if your business model is how much xanthan gum can we sneak in the mayonnaise without anyone noticing, then your time is limited. Because essentially, if you start putting crap into stuff and you start pumping things up and you start adding air and filler and rubbish, just so you can turn a profit, in the short term, that'll work. But branding is a very long-term thing. And you have to position yourself in the market with a story that resonates. But it has to deliver status, it has to deliver virtue and competence. So let's say competence, for instance, if you buy a shoe from Nike, what they are promising is that you'll be able to run and you'll be able to have athletic capabilities that you naturally make associations with, Michael Jordan and everybody else involved in that lovely brand. interestingly enough, the On guys, they're coming up. I think those On are complete side quest, but the On company, the Federer's company, I believe, is, they're essentially the underdog coming in now. They've just opened their store in central London on Regent Street, which is a good signal, by the way. They're hiring a lot of people. I saw that on LinkedIn. Like that's really good, because essentially there's not really been a shoe brand that's grassroots that could knock some of the big guys off the podium. Obviously, Adidas came up with and Nike, and I suppose Adidas was their first and Nike was the underdog. But Nike, Umbro, Adidas, all those Reebok, all those big guys sort of came up, at least in my opinion, similarly in the same time. And we not really had someone come in that's being able to do that in the athletic shoe wear at scale, at mass. That's so much so that when I'm stood in line at the supermarket, I look down and there are just, everyone's wearing On trainers, which is a good thing. Sorry to digress, but trainers are commodities, but they've positioned them as a story with the new technology and all that kind of stuff. So there is a utility play at this base core. The product is good, but they are also adding in the competency idea that you can play that Federer or run like Jordan or blah, 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 blah. So, when you've got competency and the virtue, if you align with a company, again, like we said, Tom's, but let's say just a normal one, say they pay their factory workers well, say they have good quality, say they are part of a B Corp, although I don't really like the model of B Corp. I feel like it just makes investors rich and gets you a good ESG score, but there is goodness in it to a degree. So virtue, status, competence, those stories that come out would help you take a commodity and position them in the market to charge a premium, but you have to deliver utility or some kind of tool that has to talk briefly about brand efficacy, which is like if she can do it, I can do it mentality, or he did it, so why can't I do it? These triggers are really important in brands, and especially for like getting like brand allegiance and getting your cult following. But they don't come from bullshit. You have to offer something that the market wants.